Welcome back to another week of ESL Pro League. We're getting into it. It's the late in the season. This is the point we all talked about would be the most exciting. The playoff race is finally here. Last few weeks left, and teams are still very much tied up. All the games from here on are massively important to their standings going into the playoffs. I've got with me here Henry. I've got Sponge. We've got Sydney in about 2 weeks. I wanted to do my own surprise version of Fair Dinkum really quick, Chad. I read an interesting article this weekend. Okay. A little tidbit about Australia. In the 1930s, after World War I, your military returned and had to fight a battle against a horde of emus, which are bird-like creatures, much like ostriches.
We say emu.
Emu.
Yeah, emu.
Okay. So 20,000 angry emus invaded some of your farmland.
Where did you find this fact out of interest?
I actually don't know. You know, browsing the internet. You know, things tend to happen. Yeah. You get to weird places.
Okay, yeah.
We do have a lot of animals we have to kill.
I guess that's the best way to put it.
I have never heard anything about this. It's possible.
It's called the Great Emu War.
That sounds like it's fake. But
no, it's not. It's on Wikipedia.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's real.
Okay, that's exciting. Well, if you ever want to come to Australia, we fly around in helicopters killing wild camels and kangaroos because they're both pests.
So I know what we're doing in Sydney when we get there. Either way, we will bring up the standings of the North American Division first after that brilliant segment. SK Gaming still on top, Cloud9 as well. Team Liquid, despite some of their struggles, firmly in 3rd place. And then you get into a little bit of a dicey area. 5th through 8th place, all 11 wins, all tied up. So a 4-way tie between NRG, Optic, Renegades, and Luminosity.
Renegades on a bit of a bounce back there.
It doesn't matter, they can't play anyway.
Yeah, they have the Asian minor the same
Again, the same thing as last season.
That
sucks, doesn't it?
That's good times. Yeah, what can you say about that one? So, yeah, all their hard work more than likely going to go to waste.
No, but they're developing into a better unit, Jason.
Yes,
you know?
that's the good thing. The silver lining.
When I've been watching them play more recently, they do look like a team that everybody is doing their roles and everything looks like it's evening out a bit nicer, even though they're not playing with Nexa at the moment. They're still using Uber as a stand until he can get over there from Serbia, I believe. Yeah,
that will be exciting to keep track of. These are the EU standings as well, moving on. We do have our own little tie-breaking situation here as well, where, I mean, there's only a couple teams tied up, 3 at 10, 2 at 11, but I mean, still, what is it, from 1st to 7th is 2 wins, to 8th is 3, and I mean, it's not very far off.
Yeah, I have to say, hats off to Mousesports for keeping in that top 6 after losing Nico as well. They could pick up another win tonight going forward as well. FaZe coming in with a stand-in, they could actually quite convincingly make the finals here. That's kind of exciting for them.
Yeah, and we have a cool thing as well. For instance, if the playoffs were to end today, these are the top 6 that would move on, highlighted in the green, and you can see at the bottom as well, the grayed out teams, Envy, LDLC, those are the ones that would be forced into relegation, except for Kingwin. They would be automatically eliminated. And we have, that would be...
replaced by Godsent.
Yeah.
Godsent would be banging on in there.
Yeah, so this is kind of how it looks, and we'll do this as the season goes on. You know, as teams get statistically locked into that top 6, we will mark them on that schedule, and we'll walk you guys through on the standings list. We can check out today's schedule. That's where I got schedule from. Is the matches you will see today.
Lovely.
That is going to be FaZe taking on Mousesports. We'll see them twice, Overpass and Inferno coming in. Big matches, Nico facing off against his former team, and then NIP versus Astralis. Good barometer of where NIP's at the moment.
Yeah, it's not looking too good for them, but obviously the addition of Draken coming in, they're getting better slightly. Get Right Strike finding some form finally as well, so hopefully they could bounce back. A rough game though, going up against the best team in the world.
Yeah, well, they did play the other day in the other YouTube league, the ECS. And they were able to win a map, 16-14 on Train, and they only lost Cache 16-14. So it was a very close, you know, series.
So some good stuff going on there. FaZe versus Mousesports, we see any difficulties there for FaZe at all?
Well, the fact that he's lost Kiyoshima for tonight, I think it's Tensky coming in instead of him. So that's obviously a bit of a blunder at this stage in the season. They haven't definitely qualified at this point as well. They normally struggle with stand-ins, especially FaZe. So I'm not sure they're actually going to overcome Mousesports, who actually look very good at the moment, actually winning quite convincingly a lot of their games.
Yeah. And that'll be, that's going to be interesting as well with the fact, I mean, the funny part is Nico actually got them started on the right foot in the season. So he could play part in the fact that they're currently contending for a playoff spot, and he could also play a part in them potentially getting eliminated from the playoffs.
Crazy, isn't it?
Not too bad.
Yeah. And the addition of Rops as well. He's actually looked like the boy wonder at the moment. So maybe he can show us what he's made of tonight.
That's right. Rops is that new player. He did look pretty good. These are some tweets we have coming up. This is NIP taking some shots over at the Danish side. Sweden long been the historical team that dominates Counter-Strike. Well, now we have Denmark in the mix as well. Lighting cannons.
Is this
looks like a game of worms,
kind
frankly.
Of history
it does.
Between them, or?
And this is the marketing guy from North. 1/6 of the world's 30 best CS:GO teams are now Danish best nation ever in the game. Now, a little bit of bias there, obviously.
Ever.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. That's a little bit of that's a statement.
If he's talking about CSGO, maybe in the last few years, in terms of like overall dominancy per teams, maybe you could justify
I don't even know
that.
if you could say that because we started with NIP and then we had a Fnatic era.
But I mean, I guess he's talking about like the teams active at once that are still competing in the top 10 and looking good, right? So
Yeah.
I think the contention is ever being the key.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I'm trying to
it?
find something. Like the only, like I guess Sweden at 1.6, you could go for that.
Yeah.
Well, he did specify CSGO.
Yeah,
but that's
I
a
guess.
discussion for another day. Either way, both those nations obviously doing very well, having a lot of success over in CSGO. Now we're going to check in with Mitch. We're going to see what he has to say.
Very much, Moses, and it's good to have everyone back for week 8 of the ESL Pro League. But in the meantime, and in between our match days, you can head over towards our social media platforms at facebook.com/ESLCS and at ESLCS on Twitter to find out exactly what's been going on in the interim. And the ESCA's Mountain Dew League held their playoffs last week, culminating with the finals on this weekend. On the line was a direct entrance into the ESL Pro League, and there was 2 chances also to move up through the relegation matches later. In yesterday's finals, however, Godsent faced off against German team Big, and with plays like this Deagle 3K by Lecro and other great plays made by Twist and Pronax, Godsent were able to defeat Big in a quick 2-0, finishing both Mirage and Cash 16-10. The familiar lineup of Godsent, consisting of mostly former Fnatic players, has earned their return to the Pro League in the upcoming season. Let's see how this all went down. Now, as I said, despite losing this match, Big don't necessarily go home empty-handed. As Dennis from Mousesports acutely pointed out, his former teammate Nex and the rest of Big still have a chance. Big will play in the relegation matches alongside Pentasports against the 12th and 13th place finishers from this season of the Pro League for their shot to get back in and enjoy some CS glory. But with the playoffs over, a new season of the Mountain Dew League will be starting fairly shortly. If you're wondering what that's about or how you can get involved or how the Mountain Dew League is giving players like you a direct path into the CSGO Pro League, you can head over to esca.net/MDL to find out all your information. And now, as we lead into the rest of the night, we'll leave you with some of our top plays from week 7 of the Pro League.
Taco is going to have a big amount of players to stop on himself. However, he gets 2, almost 3 of them. One's dropped down to about 7 HP, and he gets both of them as well. This is the problem, is now they didn't even push everybody back in, so Fallen has to roll in, but he gets 2, 3 massive headshots.
Here I go. Just needs to play the information. Good shot from Config. Goes early, gets all 3.
Mousesports might find this difficult, but again, Sixer just gets isolated all alone. Scream taps away, finds LOL, but still, this is not over yet.
Yep, and XMS and Happy having to quickly rotate across, but it's Scream! And XMS was 2 for Scream already, and make it another one. 4 kills for him.
Nafi goes down 5 on 4 just like that, and it's going to be even more for Flush. A double kill, triple kill. What God's name is that?
Beautiful calling from Henry G to
Wasn't
round out
bad.
those top 5 plays. Yeah,
Good
yeah.
counting.
That was one of the ones I was like, Matt, why were you not casting for that one? Why am I in control of this situation? No, it wasn't great.
We
but,
really need to touch on every time we have these highlights how good Blue is at counting. Still got to 3 today.
Got to 3 today.
So,
one day he'll get to 5.
One day.
One day he will get to 5. But either way, the matchup we have coming up first for you guys is FaZe taking on Mousesports, and FaZe obviously last week. Probably the most exciting match that we had of the week was that triple overtime win. I mean, that was really good stuff out of FaZe. That was a big comeback. Happened on Kerrigan's birthday as well. All good stuff.
Yeah, it ticked over when they won,
Yep.
and he was celebrating, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, there's crazy scenes in Denmark that night.
Yeah,
but
riots in the streets.
Yeah, it was a very close match, and I think surprisingly so. We didn't expect it. 14-4, you can see the scoreline right there. I definitely thought it was over. Like, it should have been a shutout from that point, and I know the guys from North would be definitely disappointed in that. But they were really big wins for FaZe. Like Henry was saying, they're definitely not in the finals by any means, and getting those wins is a big deal. Tonight, though, having this sub of Tensky,
Yeah.
it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. Like Henry said, historically not so good with subs,
Yeah.
but the thing that I find interesting is on the CT side, it can't be too difficult for Tensky, right? Because he's just plugging and playing in a rock position. He doesn't have to rotate around too much. It's not really going to affect strategies. When we flip over to the T side, Kyo's more like, you know, like the third or fourth guy in throwing the flushes and nades, where that's where I could see them having issues. And you're probably going to see more pack roll strategies being called from Carrigan, where it's just going to rely on trading and teamwork, I guess.
I guess, though, that could work in their favor. They are very good when they're playing looser Counter-Strike, I think. That's when they look their absolute best, especially if players like Nico turn up, for example. He's been quite quiet, though, recently, I have to say, especially in Pro League. He's looked like below average what we're used to seeing from him. So if he can step up tonight, maybe that's enough. They can just go around as a pack and actually find rounds. Tensky's never going to be a player that sets the world on fire, but he's a safe pair of hands, I think. Like he can be okay. He was in Dignitas and then Rogue, I believe, as well. Like he's always been a relatively good player, but nothing to really write home about.
Yeah, I mean I mean he is definitely a serviceable player. One thing we want to get up there before we go too deep into this actually is going to be fantasy.
I love this section.
We want to get back. This is your favorite segment.
And fantasy in the same sentence.
Yeah. That's a good point. Funny how that works out. These are the fantasy standings that we've had. We've been doing this all season long. You guys can join us, fantasy.eslgaming.com. We still have pretty much, this is looking like NA Pro League, still the same top 4 for the past 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, well, we've got the stable at the bottom there, Henry, London, Mint, G.
The rock, they call it. The foundation that we've all built
the anchor.
upon.
Here we go. No, we are starting at the top. We're punching down, not up. No, we are punching up.
Yeah.
So yeah, Lauren's team now just under 100 points ahead.
Dupree there again.
XXX female gamer 69 in fantasy all in one sentence.
Lauren is I would say Lauren is the #1 Dupree fan in the world.
She's got to be Dupree's biggest fan, doesn't she?
Must be. I went for a really kind of avant-garde team this week. I actually went with an interesting strategy.
I've got 5 players again.
Yeah.
So you'll all be surprised in that one.
Really switching things up at the end of the season to try and make that late
Yeah,
push.
I wanted to pick the French players who joined Misfits, but I wasn't able to locate them. So I settled for Shazam, one of your favorite players, Jason. And Sick,
That's true.
He's quite talented.
Jason has been a fan of his, especially on Twitter recently.
Oh boy,
Oh,
a lot of people with Simple and Guardian.
Yeah, Matt and I have the same. Oh, that's a very similar team to Lauren's, really. Like Device instead of Dupree, Simple and Guardian, a player from Immortals as well.
I've gone for a big risk this week. We're going to see my team come up next. I have gone heavy NA. I've got Peter, I've got Kusa, I've got Shazam, Guardian, and Simple.
A lot of Overpass.
There's a lot of powerful online offers on
So
this roster.
you've picked Peter, who will be playing against Shazam in a match, which just is probably not the greatest decision.
I'm comfortable with it. I'm very comfortable with it. Both playing 2 matches. There's going to be some buddies in there. Yeah, very comfortable. This is Carmen? No.
No.
QNTM?
Who's that?
Who is that?
Carmen.
It is Carmen.
Why are we having a
I don't
guess?
think that's Cartman.
Okay, well, it could be. Either way.
Machine,
These
he's
are
not
all,
here.
these are all the teams that are really
Having a bit of a mare here, aren't we?
4 players, same lineup from week 1.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Let's get these.
Yeah, let's get
Mitch's
this fantasy
team.
out of
Mitch
it.
is trying.
Yeah, he's putting a good effort. He's beaten Henry.
Yeah.
All right, let's not dwell on that, shall we? Focus on the positives.
Speaking of people not doing so well,
Yeah.
Go on.
I have only good things to say about Mousesports. That Rops kid is really good. Watching it, it's Rops.
Yeah.
It's officially Rops.
It's Rops?
Yep.
Okay.
Not Ropes.
Okay.
Rops.
But I was watching his highlights. I've been watching like when he streams and stuff, and just the way that he approaches the game and his crosshair placement is some of the best I think I've ever seen. This
Impeccable.
Kid is awesome.
I haven't actually got to watch him yet. I'm excited. I've heard a lot of things
Well,
over the
on
weekend.
my monitor here, Henry, it's exclusively the Rops cam.
Okay,
so
well, I'll be staying here then.
You can't miss it.
We did have that last week. It never.
Can we keep calling him the Boy Wonder though? Is that just the
The Boy Wonder?
tagline?
Isn't that a little bit taken away from JW, the Wonder Child?
I don't think he deserves it right now. So
And
he's losing it. He's got to fight
he's
for
also
it.
You can't
not a
just
boy
take
anymore.
away nicknames from people, though.
Yeah, but
I might do. I'm the commissioner here, you know. So
JW's a bit older now. He might be the Wonder Man.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah, either way, though, Mousesports obviously looking good in this season, making that playoff push towards the end. This is a good showing for them, but are they going to have enough here tonight? I mean, there's still, despite the stand-in issue, there's still a lot of tools on this team. I guess the biggest fear you could have is that, you know, you could make the argument that Kiyoshima was probably FaZe's best player across the entirety of Star Series.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden lacking that kind of firepower, that resurgence, that could be a problem.
I would say arguably Katowice as well. He's been excellent recently. He's been very, very good. And he's one of the players who's always got a lot of flack for, obviously, all the problem and all that sort of thing as well. But people don't realize how individually skilled he can be, how influential to rounds he can be with pistols, AK as well, especially, very strong. And this is the thing with the FaZe team overall. They've got so much firepower available to them. There's not really much we can say in terms of strategy to kind of discount it going into this game, because overall, their players on paper are going to be much stronger than the Mousesports guys. But Mousesports, especially in this scenario, are going to be the better team across the board. That's what they're really focusing on right now. Since they obviously lost their kind of main string to their bow, which was Nico, they're going to have to work on the teamwork now. And it's actually working out quite nicely. The fact that Dennis, and obviously Speedy's gone now, Dennis is looking much better. He's actually top fragging consistently for the team. That's actually nuts, considering he was a player that's like in the gutter for them for so long when Nico was in the team, and now he's actually looking revitalized.
And also, I mean, you look at this team, we mentioned Rouse, now we've mentioned Dennis, who's had a great season, but we haven't even gotten to Oscar and Chris J. These are pretty dynamic players, especially Oscar coming in. I mean, originally had those issues, departs the team, comes back, and he was great for them. Was it Vegas that he played in with them? The last tournament with Nico, I believe it was? I think that was Vegas.
Yes, and we saw what the two of them could do as a pretty powerful duo in that last event. But yeah, I think Oscar is one of those players. You know, we've seen what he can do, especially in the pugs that we see the players playing online, and he's transitioning well into a team player, and he's showing a lot of impact. The biggest thing that I want to take out of this, the first map is Overpass, the second one is Inferno. To plug Tensky in on Inferno, I don't think that's as big of a deal. I think you know, you can get away with more pop flashy strategies. Overpass, on the other hand, it's going to be so difficult if they start on the T side. How are they going to approach it?
Even the CT side, to be fair, it's not one of those maps like Inferno. You're absolutely right there. You think about Inferno, the way it's set up. You're playing like Banana. Two players. You got the roles are very separated. You're calling rotations. You have time to kind of get a player over. There's normally quite a lot of indicative signs as to what's going on within the round. But Overpass, you have to have a read on the map and work out your roles and work out who's getting information, how you get a call, and actually separate your CT side. I think they're really going to struggle on Overpass, especially.
I think that the best, or the saving grace is, like I said earlier, plugging into Kio's position, and he's one of the B bomb site anchors. So he doesn't have to rotate around a lot. He is probably one of the last guys on the scene. If it is A, they're not going to be making him do that kind of stuff. So he can just sit and hold a spot and hopefully get a couple of multi-frags, because that's what Kio's best at, you know, being there late into the round, and when they come in, stopping them from planning, delaying enough time, being an impact player in that regard. So for Tensky on the CT side, not such a big issue, I don't think. On the T side is where I can see all the problems happening on this first map for Overpass.
Yeah, a very tactical map as well, so that's going to be interesting to see how they kind of devote. The good news is, I mean, they can speed things up and have a big rush. We're just waiting on 1 to 2 players to join the server, so we're just going to fill a little bit. Let's touch on Rops.
Okay.
I just said that right, yeah?
Yeah, Rops.
Yeah, Rops.
Yeah.
Cool. I know we talked a lot about his aim. What are the difficulties that these newer players have coming into the pro scene to start with? Because we know he has immense talent.
We saw even on like this weekend over Twitter, there's a lot of controversy surrounding him at the moment. Obviously, there's a new player.
What happened this weekend on Twitter?
Well, it's just like, I didn't actually.
It was my Easter holiday. I didn't pay attention.
Well, this is the thing. I wasn't really reading that much. I was just every time I was browsing. Do you see what's going on? Like people are kind of like speculating that he obviously hasn't been on LAN and he's so good, and like it's impossible to do that good at the moment without actually being in a big team and stuff like that. There's like conversations going on, right? I should say. Yeah, exactly. And that can be a lot of pressure for you. Like thinking, oh, I've made it to a team now finally. Then knowing everyone's gonna be watching you all of a sudden because they think you're so amazing. You think, oh, if I don't perform here, they're gonna think I'm cheating or something like that, and they think I'm not gonna be an asset to this team. There's a lot of pressure, especially he's like 17 years old. Is that right?
Yeah, I think he's debunked that. You know, when he was doing the stuff, he was streaming with his camera behind him. He went into the face at officers. He did all that stuff to debunk these cheating allegations. And as far as I'm concerned, if people are still thinking that, you can call him an onliner. Like back in the day, we call people onliners, but we don't assume they're cheating. Like there's some people who just play amazing in their home comfort zone. So when he goes to a LAN, that's going to be the true test for him. But the way that he can approach the game, and what I really like is, it doesn't necessarily fit into Team Counter-Strike. What he does fantastically in Pugs is he can be so methodical, he can take his time, he can do whatever he wants, because even if people are yelling at him, there's no repercussions in a Pug, right?
Yeah.
And the way that he pre-aims corners, and he has really good movement with the jiggle stepping, the problem I think that he's going to come into is when the team is like, okay, split decision, this is what you have to do now. He's not going to be able to take everything at the pace he necessarily wants, and that's where he can be getting caught out. But he played amazingly in the last few matches. Keen to see what he can do tonight.
Yeah, big matches for him tonight as well as he tries to help Mousesports clinch a spot in the playoffs. They're still in that top 6. FaZe is sitting outside of it. Big match for both teams. It's going to be Pansy, it's going to be Uber to take us through it.
Thank you very much, Broses. Yes, it's going to be a recently bolstered Mousesports up against a recently slightly weakened FaZe clan, perhaps. I'm here with Lauren Scott. How was your Easter, Lauren? Have a good one?
Yeah, I did lots of things, like sit at home, play video games, and I think I left the house once to get a coffee. I went down to the bakery, that was about it. Noticed that everything was shut because Germany. But it did encourage me to play more games.
I found something really ironic on this particular map. It actually says the park opening hours somewhere on a sign. It says it's open until like 9 p.m. on a Sunday. Definitely wrong, so I've debunked the whole theory. This is not even in Germany, perhaps, but it is Overpass, Lauren, between FaZe Clan and Mousesports. And I do like this idea of a T-sided FaZe that needs to plug Tensky in terms of their, you know, to get all that orchestration going.
And the other thing I'm going to be looking at is Mousesports on Overpass is kind of a curveball. Now, if you'd seen recently, if you're watching ECS, obviously, you'd be like, well, they played it pretty recently, but prior to that, they only last played it in Feb, I think it was. So they don't play this map often. It's not been particularly sitting well with them. I think the last time they played it prior to ECS, which was literally a day ago, I think it was, or 2 days, something around that, was the Calavita qualifiers. So again, this isn't a common thing for Mousesports, but it looks like maybe this is something they've been putting work into. Maybe, you know, we're all happy to not see Nuke in this. Again, something we didn't like. So let's come back to that though, because we are underway.
Yeah, pistol round coming in. It's going to be the CT side for FaZe to begin, and already the push through monster has begun. And Rops, the boy wonder, as he's been known, leading the charge. Nico going to hold a fairly passive position back here. Rops takes down his man-at-arms. Carrigan goes down, and that's 2 for Rops. Bomb in hand, now going to plant it down.
Yeah, the guys come in swinging, let's put it that way. Now, Alu and Rain going to have to play back into this one. I'm pretty sure I saw a kit around somewhere, but that might not be the biggest issue. There's 4 players standing away, holding nice angles, and Oscar's feeling it right now. He's been made into that raid boss. He's got that Tech 9 to hand. Alu going to find 1, but 1 is not simply enough at this point. Rob's going to readjust to a more passive angle. Now Dennis to take the fight. 3 alive bomb plant round in the bag. Mousesports off to a really good start here. And this is something as I said, I'm really excited about, is if they're going to widen or, you know, deepen, how you want to discuss it, their map pool here. Because I think this is something now with maybe Robs coming in, and, you know, you've got Oscar having some really, you know, high highs at the moment. He's been really hitting his peak of performance on occasion. It's quite exciting to watch. And as you said, FaZe are in a weakened state. So if you look back on this result, you might go, well, you know, take it with a pinch of salt, etc. But still a very dangerous team to play up against. You just had that new player coming in.
Yeah, I think the point you bring up about this not being a map that was necessarily present in Mousesports' map pool to date is an interesting one. And especially the dynamic of, you know, Dennis and Rops being 2 very big players, impactful players, especially as of late, something to be keeping an eye on. But now Mousesports, 3 players out towards long. Bomb in the hands of Dennis here. I'm going to take it fairly slow. Note that FaZe has very little utility at all to be stalling with or to try and obscure sight lines, so they just need to receive this push when it comes. They have forced pistols, though. It'll be Deagle for Nico.
And also FaZe wanted to try and keep a couple of players, you know, around underpass, kind of pinching towards that, trying to get whatever they can away, pretty much any guns they could work with. You can see Tensky's down here as well. I was trying to work out if Tensky had ever actually been in a team with Carrigan. You know what I mean? So, you know, the Danish scene, he was in Team Dignitas, he was in SK for a while, and they had the Danes. But I don't think they were ever on the exact same roster at the exact same time. I know they were quite close into changing.
It was more on the other side of the Danish fence.
Yeah, exactly.
Your TSM and your Dignitas were very
And Chris J on a little bit of a receiving end of a nice shot from Alu, but it's all but a ruse. The bomb's going towards B. The one man close is Rain, though, and I think they've got 1 into CT now, which is Alu. So there's still threats aboard in this round if Mousesports take it too lightly, but Oscar doesn't care. He doesn't even need to see the player to get the shot done, and he will follow up towards Carrigan very, very cleanly. Now Nico locked out, having trouble with a box. It's tough out here.
German delivery service also terrible, so I can see Nico's issues.
I love
there.
how tilted you are by Germany right now. It's like normally you're such an advocate, but it's it is fun.
The bureaucracy of the country definitely has its limitations. But
Yeah.
regardless, Nico now with 20 points of health. A good opening there for Mousesports. Chris J obviously making a little bit of a blooper moment there to the Deagle pick off of Ali, but that is going to happen against FaZe more than any other team who win those second round force buys more often than not, actually. That's the scary part. And also they had like 11 pistol rounds in a row, I think, the last event. So that's pretty nutty. Pretty darn good, even with the hand cannons, Lauren.
Yeah, the amount of times you'll see them with, you know, those I guess, like, Reddit montages of how FaZe warm up with Deagles. It's like Carrigan doing it, Nico, like, Rain's another big hit with it. Alu's no stranger to it. So, yeah, these guys are pretty much heavy hitters when it comes to those pistols. They're all, you know, aim gods at that point. But importantly for Mousesports, they kept all the rifles up, if I'm not mistaken. They had another UMP on Chris J at the start. He lost out on that one, but the 3 that had them at the start still have them now. So Rops, Oscar, and Dennis retain those to hand, which is always good. Don't lose them out, don't have to reinvest. They can they should be able to coast through this one. Rops going to do a quick little molly down towards short. Pressure over towards Monster a little bit, but he's just holding it really at this point. He is playing that lurking role, something that he kind of theorized was something that he's quite good at, but we didn't necessarily see him doing that too often. No. He was kind of, you know, I think Chad was discussing it before, like he seemed to play a bit of a different role, especially on Cobblestone where we saw him. I think it was like his almost debut as such, but maybe they've kind of like fleshed out the role a bit now. He's going to maybe find his own way into it. But yeah, at the moment it looks like a bit of a long take, and I don't mind this. You've got the rifles, you've got the range element. Why not use it? Just got to be careful of that, man.
Yeah, Nico there getting a little bit of damage on towards Dennis early, a little bit more as well, puts him down to 49. But eventually the response is going to be there. FaZe Clan limited capacity now with these weapons, and Alu's blindsided. Chris J he really just has to blunder his way onto the site. It's pretty comfortable 3 kills for him.
Got to farm out the money for him as well. Considering he went down in the second round, everyone else is building up cash. He wants to get that money in the bag. Maybe, I don't know if he's AWPing as much anymore. You know, it felt side dependent and map dependent when we saw them previously, Mousesports. So I'm wondering who's going to be kind of, I guess, the champion of it this time around. They won't need it this round particularly, I can imagine, because they know that FaZe are going to be pretty limited on this. They're going to have a decent enough buy, but it's not great. Alu has been able to get the AWP though, so that's the integral factor. He's the only one to re-get kills so far for FaZe. So if anything, it's a bonus that he's been able to get onto that. But yeah, I'll be keeping eyes on Mousesports, see who runs it, whether it be that Oscar kind of headliner or Chris J. Both can, you know, do it so well.
Yeah, look, 4 smokes is pretty good for FaZe here if they want to segment the map, especially if there's some sort of hit on towards B. But if it's fast, they won't have a chance to let that go.
It does look like they wanted to get some quick map control, and considering they've got no one lurking over by the A side of things, you're kind of hoping that they commit quite quickly. They do have those mollies. They've got everything lined up. It should be, as you said, a fast take, and here we go. The mollies go in towards the toxic corner, couple down towards water, but the flashes are good, and Karrigan's even better. Fighting Oscar, cutting off one approach. That's Monster in trouble now, but pushing through is Chris J. Taking back the side control, but there's still one there.
Yeah, 2 players up for FaZe at the moment, and Rain needs to come and assist from up above. It'll be Alu working in from that A site, but the bomb is loose on B, is planted, in fact, for Mousesports, and they, well, connect the wires in just the right way. So now, this is a difficult situation for Alu and Rain to navigate, especially lack of information about positioning. And Rob's playing quite deep, quite close towards connector. Alu at least was able to use that information. You can see what FaZe can do when they know the positions of their opponents, but there are 2 players still at large for Mousesports.
That was a lovely little take towards the site. You know, it felt a bit dangerous at times, but they traded effectively. They kept everything going they needed, and the retake just didn't come through. So for Mousesports, another big round for them. The reinvestment will be interesting. They've got good money here as well. They've been getting consistent bomb plants throughout this too. They've been getting everything they need. Clean rounds as well. You can see barely any kills sitting beside FaZe, so their money is going to be very limited throughout this one so far. You know, limited utility coming in. You may not see mollies, you might see limited upgrades. Even though they're a team that can do damage on those pistols, they'll probably buy down to about 2k, a couple underneath it. We'll see what they go for, but there's the AWP. It is going to be Oscar on it for now. Dennis getting straight on the Mac Daddy. I want to see where they take this one. They know that Alu's still going to have the AWP, so that's going to be a factor in the back of their minds. How do they play into that? But so far, Mousesports seem to have a really nice approach to it so far. 4 rounds in their pocket.
Good start, to be sure, for Mousesports now. Again, this is a clash of 2 fully, you know, European mixes as well. But Robs has already managed to enter the B side here. He's managed to catch Karrigan by surprise. He tries to leap in the air and get away, but it won't be enough. Dennis start to make some cash money. Dollar bills, of course, as that Mac 10 gets involved.
Love it. Why not go for the aggressive play? Try and negate that AWP as quick as possible. Don't allow them time to find these angles or these kind of plays to kind of pull in. But there's still 2 danger men up. Nico with a deagle and Alu with an AWP. That's a combo that can still work, and that's a reminder as to why Robs does go down, so the bomb won't be planted yet. 3 players still stand for Mouse. Dennis? Smiley doesn't want to step out just yet. Nade the corner, good. Push Nico away from it or force him to do something. Bit of a failed molly there, I think, but Nico's still finding a couple of avenues of approach here.
Alu still stands after Nico is gunned down brutally through the smoke. Wouldn't even have been able to make a call about their position. No traces through that smoke. And Oscar finds his first AWP kill of the game here. And Mousesports continue to keep things rolling. FaZe had to buy down a little bit. Alu didn't have to buy a new weapon. He kept the AWP from the prior round. So FaZe were able to save a little bit of this utility coming forward. They got the money. But again, it comes down to the execution. And Dennis is staying on the Mac 10 here.
I guess you can go in towards underpass. You can kind of be... what's he got? Nothing particular. Oh, let's keep eyes on Dennis really quick. Let's see where he takes this one. I'm kind of wondering just if he's... I don't know.
Plunge into Plaza or maybe even try and hold
just trade off me. You know, look at this. And Rain doesn't like the idea of having to sit back in this one. Goes a little aggressive through party, trying to fall back safely, but it's kind of hard. You're hoping that no one's in underpass quickly. You're hoping that no one does that, but Chris J's read the situation well, capitalized on it while he tries to run away, but Alu is watching the push-up now.
4v4. I don't think Alu spotted that player up in towards party there. I think it was Chris J. He's just going to loop back around now towards long. Pace definitely slowed down. That little aggressive play forward from the CTs really slowed down Mousesports, but Oscar gets back in there. That's an audacious peek, to be sure, in towards the middle part of the map. And now Nico, key player, and he's dead.
This is nice so far from Mousesports. It's got that nice pace to it. Individually, they're stepping up. Rob's there hitting a nice one. Oscar as well looks confident in the way he's playing, which was certainly a question mark around him. And look at these shots. The man's a little bit of a monster right now. And Tensky, the stand-in, not going to be standing much longer. Gets put down by Chris J.
Like I was saying before, I mean, both these 2 teams are pure European mixes, right? I don't want no 2 players from the same country, but also more importantly is that Mousesports has an incredibly hard run towards the end of this season. winning games like this is going to do so much for them when there's only, what, 2 games between 1st and 7th, as it were. They need to keep that momentum going. This is a great way to do so.
Yeah, and look at the money now sitting by Mousesports. It's huge.
Lowell's got 14K.
Yeah, and I don't think Tenski's got a kill yet, if I'm not mistaken. That's a little bit of a shame for him, I can imagine. You know, you're standing in, of course, you're not expected to do wonders. You're not going to be the big player, but you're meant to be, you know...
And everyone knows the player that he was as well.
Yeah, exactly. He was a solid rifler. He always has been, just, you know, a run-of-the-mill good rifler. I wouldn't say he's going to, you know, be breaking any glass ceilings in that aspect, but he always held his own.
No fourth walls.
Not right now. But no, Mousesports has taken a bit of a slower approach here, just seeing if they're up to something, what FaZe are doing. You know, there's always a danger on board. Mousesports last round actually went pretty quick through it. They went for that kind of just fast hit towards B. This time taking their time a little bit more. They've still got plenty of utility to make a play with, so they don't need to rush anything. Nico probably going to play in Alu here if they do get any contact towards Monster. Tenski playing up on short as well. And as soon as that first shot goes out from Nico, you can imagine Alu will make the swing out too. Let's see if it's effective. That's the big thing. And the weapon switch doesn't actually hinder him then. He does find the shot towards Dennis. Put him down to 8 HP.
That's stopping power for you, isn't it? Really no other way to put it than that. Rain getting aggressive towards the playground there. Chris J not ready for it at all. Even his response wasn't fast enough, and even Tenski wants to play up a little bit close, but he gives information. He knows the call now in towards Monster. That's where Mousesports are going to go.
FaZe know everything. They know exactly where they are, but can they stop them? Nico is one man in their way, and he can do a lot of work from here, but he's got support. Tenski gets on the board finally. Karrigan on the flank, and that is what you need to be seeing from FaZe. Well played predominantly there, at least in my eyes, from Rain. Rain and Karrigan pushing up for the map control to get that information flowing through to the rest of the team to kind of bolster their confidence that, all right, we can just stay here on B. Tenski coming in through short, coming up with the goods then as well, was absolutely paramount to that round actually working out for them. But that felt like a long time in the making. It didn't feel like that was a gift to them. That was a very well played out round.
It's quite insane, Lauren, how such a cursory exchange like we saw from Nico at the start of the round there. That one deagle shot brought Mousesports to a screeching halt, realizing that, okay, our entry fragger, our front rifler, is now down to about 9 HP after that one shot. We really need to play this slower. That allows players like Tenski to push off of Connector and get a little bit more information about where the T's are set up there. It was essentially no plan B for Mousesports in that round. They were quite committed, but even still, nicely done by FaZe to work around the fact that they had bought themselves valuable moments because of what Nico was able to achieve. And from there on out, it was just straight into the meat grinder with Mousesports.
Yeah, and looking at FaZe as well, as of late, this has probably been one of their worst maps. You know, and that's again, you know, something that's a bit of a sweeping statement, of course, but it's one that they don't have that really nice kind of sitting percentage on. They do play some relatively good teams, but you still see those kind of out there losses. During Pro League, they lost to LDLC on this map, so it's like they've had those kind of questionable moments, but it does seem as though we are back underway. Double AWP now coming out. Karrigan and Alu running those.
Okay, Fnatic, hello. FaZe Clan, as soon as they can buy into it, really are going to make a play. We'll see how they want to put these to use. Karrigan playing over on the B side. Was playing over the B side. That's one of those AWPs down there. The ball's on Rops to come forward there and just get the spray. That's pretty frightening. And now Alu, of course, the second man with an AWP in hand. Pressured a little bit now. It's a Molotov thrown towards his feet. That's going to force a bit of a backtrack here. Rops finds Tenski on the B side as well. That's going to open it up. Tenski has been lurking around Monster in these last few rounds, and this time he was caught.
Yeah, on the other side of that smoke, though, is Nico. Let's be honest here. No sloucher holding any of these sort of spots, but Rops has been hitting some pretty nutty shots, I'm not going to lie to you, but Nico wants a piece of the action too. Robso wants to try and pounce on the moment that Nico will be backing away in between the shots. But he is very much alone, but he's baiting this out pretty well for now, but he is very isolated. No teammates with him, not even close to being with him. Can he find an angle to play with here? This is so dangerous, but he has made noise, and I think he knows it. Nico knows as well. So there's a bit of cat and mouse going down on B, but that bomb is edging over towards that A side.
Yeah, I mean, Dennis is going to try and pressure A a little bit, maybe deal with Rain up on the top side there. Rops is just going to maintain a presence, get some damage on towards Alu. Doesn't look for too much more, but Nico still is able to find it. But this A side is open.
But look what he's achieved. He's got both players to the wrong side, and now they're playing retake with double AWPs on towards A from this angle. It's almost impossible. So him on his own has done so well. And it's just like from bad to worse for Nico. It's like, how much do I need to do here to even get towards this bomb site? And well,
what's behind door number 2, he wonders.
He's going to find out pretty soon.
A swift end, and Mousesports get yet another round there as well. I mean, they don't really give the man too many options. They double Molotov the one corridor towards the A site. Mousesports knew exactly where they had to be looking. And those double AWPs, Lauren, gone. scattered to the 4 wins, and there's been forced another buy-in of, I think even Rain bought that one for Alu just to keep it in his hands. Mousesports looking good, Rop's looking excellent right now, playing almost like a one-man army, playing the small side, often playing that lurker role on his own. It's been effective thus far.
You look at the kills he's getting, they're kind of hard kills to get. He soloed out the orb, you know, took it out of Karrigan's hands. There's the failed smoke to Monster, so he might be predicting to peek down as well. Now you haven't see another smoke being kind of committed towards it. That's the rush smoke. Yeah, excuse me. No, they've been watching the games. But that's caused more of the very limited utility that FaZe had to be put out to try and deal with just Rops. And there's still 4 players on the other side of the map. So far he's been doing really well. But let's keep eyes on the rest of them too here. Rain's still in a very, very dominant position. Even though very isolated, he does have Alu on long to help him out. But, you know, there's limited amounts of what you can do. They could slow walk up short. Alu finding Oscar is important, though. That's big. That's just, you know, a step in the right direction for FaZe here. Rob's maybe looking for options to allow his team, though, to try and make this hit towards B. 3 and underpass kind of indicates as such.
He knows Tensky likes to sit a little bit further forward of connector. This round, he's actually backed away towards the side after getting decked by Rops in the previous round. So he checks anyway, just to make sure. Now the rest of Mousesports can work their way out there, but there's still the issue of Monster here. Karrigan, another smoke. There are no smokes left on FaZe Clan now. They've used them all.
Got 2 mollies still up for Mouse, but the plan's been noted. FaZe know this now. Rain's on the rotate. Lol is watching it, so should be able to handle this if that door does swing open, but timing is everything. 29 seconds, they gotta go. Lol gets caught out, timing not on his side at all, and Karrigan completely locking down Monster with a support Tensky coming in the end, and all in all a well-handled round, but FaZe kind of giving, excuse me, Mouse giving a lot of kind of information over to FaZe. Once FaZe start pushing up, you saw that where Rain was, he started to push his way around, taking a kind of an educated guess there. That was giving away a little much on that one, I guess, just because they wanted to swing around towards B rather than the other way around.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that they had so many players committed towards Monster and they took so long to actually get ready to make a push. They left no one in towards Connector at all, except Lol on the outside, who got unlucky, safe to say. He had to commit a Molotov to the B side to help his team, but in that small window was when he got picked off.
Really quick molly from Ross as well. I know the lineup that you can do for it, but, you know, on the move, that's a pretty spicy meatball. What's that? Having a little go himself. Switching up here, not going down Monster as he did previous, having a little look towards short. Maybe eyeing up Tensky this time instead. And Alu and Rain still vigilant over by A, trying to keep back basically the other members of Mousesports who are, again, working their way through underpass and fancying that this is the route they want to take.
This time they're very wary of Rain. His late round push in towards Connector was what was their undoing.
This could be what they're waiting for. If you look at Chris J and Dennis right now, this could be it, but somehow Lol finds Tensky.
Oh, Tensky and Karrigan go for a 2-man peek there as well, and somehow it doesn't work. Tensky was maybe a little bit early on his face, because Karrigan didn't see any of that action. Does now, though. Shots in towards Rops, they do connect. Note that Dennis is quite low, and he's playing probably is just a pivot now over on the B side of the map. I think Mousesports are going to rotate through, but Rain's there to meet them. This time, he just bides his time, waits in toilet block, and makes it costly again for Mouse.
Rain is still such a consistent player. I think he doesn't get necessarily the attention that some of the others do on FaZe, but he is such an impactful player. Alu missing a shot that he'd probably like to hit at this point, considering the players are now pretty much encroaching towards the site as fast as they can. A little bit of a slowdown there just to get the mollies down. Isolating Dennis out on long. Big problem now for Mouse there. Dwindling in numbers and time. 14 seconds. Alu is right up in that smoke. Oscar's shadow gives away the game. Nico takes his time on that one, and now 8 seconds remain, and not a hope in hell for Lol there.
Bizarre positioning there in the end from Alu, who actually pushed all the way towards toilets because of the smoke. It was a tough one. He didn't really know where he could stand. The Molotov was thrown right at his feet, so he just ambles through the smoke, does a 180, and finds a final kill. Mousesports pressuring themselves almost late round. They're being forced into situations that are definitely compromising, not having quite the time to put together these elaborate plays, and this is what we had to ask ourselves about Mousesports on this particular map. How many protocols do they have set down for these mid to late round scenarios when they get behind early? Might not be a problem this round, though, as FaZe push Alu a little bit too deep.
Yeah, and this is a different approach. Robs isn't holding down by Monster this time. He's in underpass, so maybe a quicker hit. And Rain, what's going on?
He underestimated the spread of the Molotov there.
Yeah.
He thought he was clear of it. He was not.
It's a real shame. That's going to be a huge problem. But Nico's very, very quick to get over towards A, but the flashes are good as well. Mousesports being played into this nicely, but Christian can't handle it. Nico finds another for almost free there, but he does get found in the end by Dennis. Bomb not being planted just yet, and it's a 2v2.
Well, they're committed to this. Mousesports can't really pull out of this site, but they need to deal with Karrigan. He's a threat. He's going to push through smoke as well. No respect, but Dennis is going to give it back as good as he received. Now it's Tensky. It's a 1v2. Bomb off towards Optimus. 2 players to watch. He finds the first. Was always considered a very solid, consistent rifler, but 2 men may be too much of a job for him and Mousesports to get back in this now, and the money for FaZe is looking dubious.
They can scrape together a buy, as can Mousesports, but it is a little more limited than before. You can see Rops is actually only sitting on 3.3, so I think he's going to be dropped out there. I think he has been.
It's a big spend.
And Chris J going to be only on the UMP. So yeah, this is you know the let's get what we can here. Hope that FaZe's money is kind of shattered as well, and it is. They've got a bit of a mismatch of a buy. You've got the Deagle on Nico, powerful as it may be, probably not what he wants ideally. Let's have a little look at what we've got. This looks like maybe more of a default from Mouse. It's how they like to play out, but Carrigan is doing something very different. Yep. Making up for the lack of what they had by taking the aggressive fights. Robs just does not expect that, and you can't blame him for not expecting
It's actually
that.
a really rare thing to see these days, that CT player who's so deep into towards the monster.
That was some bad timing on that flash. There was a little off on something there, because Chris J's just walking out anti-flash before the flash even came close. But it was traded out eventually.
Still, Mousesports have the man disadvantage. So far these trades, if they've existed, have not been nearly effective enough for them. And now what? That's the question. Mousesports always seem to get a little bit stagnant in this stage of the round, where they're a man down, where they may be lacking on some utility or don't have map control. They freeze up, sometimes funnel themselves into a very bad engagement on a site.
I think they're just looking for that one pick. If they get one, then it's game on. It's kind of tough to play back into this, though. Rain, again, doing the usual, right around the back, getting all that information, all these flashes and utility being put to play. It doesn't really matter when Nico's watching the push-up as well. Spots out Dennis, knows where Oscar is, and look at that pinch coming in from Rain as well. This is almost impossible, and now, certainly so. Nico going to find Oscar, and it's LOL. With 3 to find, 24 seconds, and bomb not to hand. This might be that step too far, but he's going to give it a good go anyway. And might have to eventually just kind of walk away from this one if they allow him to.
So this round is a really nice illustration of how map control can impact your decisions mid to late round. You can see Mousesports had few options. Despite a costly trade for them on long, they didn't want to push it because it had them too committed to that part of the map. They wanted to try and keep their options open. But moving to connected didn't exactly, you know, meet that need either. There was a player on either side of them and they were sandwiched. Double AWP again for FaZe.
Seems like it's a bit of a go-to these days for them. And finally, seems like a lifetime in the making. The money's been broken. Mousesports down to pistols. UMP there, and the rifle for LOL, of course. Not too surprising. Rain, though, going to go straight in for this. Right up to Fountain. He's got Ali watching Underpass. This is a bit audacious here from Ali, but I like it. Why not? Look at that shot. The follow-up's very impressive. Rain's like, are you good? I guess I'll go back to what I was meant to be watching. All right, no worries. You're fine there. And Oscar left reeling after his teammates get absolutely destroyed.
It's almost as if FaZe is starting to get a feeling that, okay, Mousesports seem to be so entrenched in their routine or in their actual positioning early around that they just sort of commit themselves to a route, for example, or maybe don't expect the unexpected. A little bit of a lack of flexibility on the side of Mousesports there seems to have hurt them, because in the prior round, you remember, the Carrigan went aggressive over towards Monster on the B side. This time it was Rain and, of course, Alu. Really choking this map out from Mousesports and not allowing them to actually get into position, let alone, you know, let any plays happen from there, you know, without making it very costly. So that's very, very nice. Now FaZe sit back a little bit more. Ali, this is still a deep and very committed position for him to take, but he still comes out with a kill.
Yeah, FaZe looking like they're starting to warm up, and just taking these more aggressive fights seems to work with them. He's not fully backed off here, kind of down by the quote-unquote Guardian stairs. You've got Rain there with him too, so they're just doubling up towards toilets. Mousesports do only have pistols, and limited at that. You know, AP 250 left, and then 3 Glocks.
Yeah, I mean, it was always going to be a bit of a weaker round for Mousesports. They're thinking about the last of the half, this next round coming up, of course. This is round 14, and Rain is, should I say, putting a couple of frags in his back pocket. Now, Tensky's been able to flank here through mid, so this should be fairly comfortable finish here. He may be overwhelmed by these 2 pistol players up close, but there will always be players at B, so Tensky's not got the right angle. We'll kind of quick correction. He gets it, and he gets the second there as well. A little bit of a close one for Tensky, but he had the better weaponry, and he's going to win that situation now. 6 to 8, last round of the half here. Mousesports to spend a bit of money, but this is Alu's early play in towards Connector.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, the impressive thing so far for me is at least how good Mousesports are on the T side. They played against Dignitas recently, which is, you know, the line of like Michael Ailey, Fox, people like that, and they only lost 2 rounds on their T side to those guys. So it looks like this is a bit of a core strength for them. We'll see if that can be replicated later on. Ali going for a bit of aggression again, which had worked before, but doesn't work this time. There were 3 AWPs then. You've got Nico and Karrigan on them as well. This is a very interesting last round. Not exactly what you'd be expecting here. But Rain and Tensky, joined by Nico not too far away, going to be waiting over here. And this is going to be big. Rain gets quickly picked up. Rops is so on point at just making entries happen through Monster.
The flash was so well timed, though. Mousesports had to push through anti-flash, but by the time their opponent was able to look around, I think it was Rain, whoever it was, we had no time to respond. So yeah, Rops found a kill there easily enough, but his opponent was in a very disadvantageous situation. Now 96 points of health on Karrigan, so. Bombs down. A bit anticlimactic of an end to that one there, but Mousesports still managed to get them 9 rounds on that T side. Coming up after the break, Lauren, we're going to be having to see what FaZe can put together on that T side. Let's see if they can make good use of Tensky, if it all works, or if it will be that puggy FaZe we used to know that had their own share of success. We'll find out very shortly. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. The 2 only pure mixed European teams in the Pro League now are going head-to-head. It's Nico against his old team. It's FaZe without Kiyoshima bringing Tensky in, and it's Mousesports with the new edition of Rops on full display, Lauren.
Now, it was all on good terms with Mousesports and Nico, to everyone's understanding, but there would be a pretty little smile on, I can imagine, Mousesports' faces individually if they do get to best Nico, the superstar of their team not too long ago, of course. It'd be a nice feeling. For FaZe, of course, a little bit of a hard game for them considering what they're working with, but Rain going to get things off to a big bang there. Oscar gone in Underpass is actually pretty impressive. That's going to mean almost encouraging to them to hit this B site. Now the rotates become a little bit trickier, and Lowell is still on the site, but he's coming up with the goods. 1 kill, that's towards Nico. Good trades, but Mousesports still only operating with 2 left and now making 1.
Okay, if they didn't lose Oscar really early in that round, those trades actually would have made a lot of sense for Mousesports and would have actually given them a pretty decent, at least post-plant scenario, but we didn't even get that far. So FaZe Clan offered up a lot of frags there. See, Mousesports couldn't do much but stand on the site and try and hold their own. Lowell pushed very deep on there to try and get the engagement up close and personal, but it is what it is. FaZe Clan win that pistol out. They didn't win it in the first half, and Mousesports got out to a 6-0 lead. So this is where FaZe Clan start to make those rounds back, ideally with interest.
Yeah, you kind of need to as well. Oscar, you good?
That is so weird to watch. It's like going down a water slide backwards. It's the most frightening thing ever.
Why would anyone do that?
I did it. Why? Sometimes it spins you around. If you're on a real good water slide, you don't get to choose, Lauren.
Alrighty, Robson, Oscar, well, pretty much just Rob's down there over by toilets, and Oscar trying to just stay alive, but he's going to be pinched. He knows it. Tries to get a bit of a pre-fire on Karrigan. Steps coming down the stairs, but can't get it done. Can't land the shot. And so far, FaZe taking over the map quite handily. You've got Nico waiting all the way back in case there's a push-up. Not to be the case. Mousesports heading all the way over to A, while that bomb is heading slowly towards B.
Slowly is right. Nico's playing so far. You can see where he's standing. He'd been there the whole time, listening to the club music, of course. Oh, Okay, then. Rops is going to meet Carrigan in the middle of the map. Pretty comfortable there with a 5-7. The headshot gets the job done. That makes it a 4v4. However, B only has the cursory presence of Chris J at the moment. And FaZe are going to hit it pretty darn hard. Mousesports have been in the dark a little bit about where the positioning is, and now they've lost that single player. There should be a plant at the very least. Dennis wants the challenge now, and he wins it out. He didn't even have teammates to make it work. But now he's got the after plant scenario with the 3v3.
He's got early territory as well to play this retake, purely because they don't have a kit up. So, you know, Mouse might have a step to this. Now they know where Tensky is. That's pretty good information. They're wondering where the rest are. Robs finds Alu. It's big. Is back on now, but Nico and Tensky put their foot down finally and find the round on the board for FaZe. It felt like a long time coming there in the end. It almost felt a bit close towards that one, especially with those kills coming in from that early play coming out. But in the end, it does seem as though they smooth things out. Now Mousesports have to kind of ease off this one.
Yeah, this was the pistol round, of course. But I actually don't mind Tensky's position there. He was sitting right at the back of that area. I guess Monster, you called it. That's quite dangerous if there's no smoke towards heaven or if there's a player up there as well. But that makes it quite challenging for any player, like you said earlier on, Dennis, who had fairly close and early positioning on that B side. So he shuts him down pretty comfortably. Very, very nice turnaround for FaZe. And now this is the Mouse. They got to be eating some humble pie and save their money.
Yeah, they've got one P250. It's on Robs. That's your lot. Nice molly.
Solid. Let's try that again.
There it is. Tensky's going to put it down there just in case. I guess Carrigan might be found out of anyone. A couple of shots coming through. Nico's really low. Tensky has found Dennis. This should be an easy round. It should be very, very comfy, and it is so far. Rain's going to make a bit of money on Chris J, and now the last two aren't really in a position to do much, just playing for exits here.
If that. Oscar's so far back, he might go looking for Carrigan in towards the connector area. Lol's hoping someone delivers himself up in just that manner, so that's not too bad. But really, Mousesports don't do much at all, really, to slow FaZe's money down whatsoever. Just Nico falling. Rain got 2 kills with the Mac 10. That's pretty nice, and obviously Carrigan getting involved in a big way. So now it's even Stevens, 9 and 9. Ali with the AWP. I don't see FaZe really worrying at all about double AWPs on this T side. It'll sort of work for them to a degree, I guess, so much so they bought 3, or they had 3 in hand on that CT side, but no, behaving themselves. Mousesports have to do the same, though. They can't even afford to go for the AWP at this early stage.
Yeah, and I kind of want to see how Robs fits into the CT side, too. Looks like he's kind of supporting over by Oscar, but this looks like FaZe really wants to do a quick and quite dry hit, I guess you could call it, towards that B side. Lol is under so much scrutiny right now. Burns alive, and Chris J just gets found in no man's land. Dennis sure has the real estate towards short, but surely someone's going to check on that. 2 players giving us back. What is this? How do you ignore that entire side of the site? It's like, well, it's fine. We've got monster control. That worked out well. Now you're down to a 2v2. Oscar and Robs playing back into this. They were the A players up against Alu and Nico.
The classic disadvantage to playing ahead of your smokes, Lauren. You want a fast hit towards a site? Sure, you can't use that utility, but you can be caught off. They actually started to smoke up when they went for the plant itself, but they weren't thinking about connector at all. I mean, we saw that quite clearly ourselves. So, Nico now needs to rescue his team. Dennis the Menace with 3 kills earlier on is not a factor anymore, but the bomb is out in a very exposed position, and Oscar is playing quite close here. Nico will have to make an adjustment here. He does, a quick adjustment. Oscar has to watch 2 angles. He was actually watching towards connector there.
Robs definitely saw the foot there, but that still felt close. When Nico makes that turn, you still kind of think, oh god, this could happen, but I'm pretty sure he saw the foot at the end. But yeah, no one checking on this, no smokes, no mollies, no flashes, no nothing. The third shot I'm surprised at is the shot to Carrigan they adjusted for so well.
And you can see that. What is so baffling to me is that FaZe don't have control of the middle of the map. They don't have control of connector, they don't have control of short. So they should be staying with a reasonable degree of, you know, suspicion that we've got players. There should be presence of players there.
But this could also be a slight downfall of, you know, the Tensky implementation. Maybe that's where normally you'd see, you know, Keo, that's his piece. That's where he looks at. That's, you know, how he checks the side. He takes that short control or he plays to it. We'll see if that's maybe a factor down the line. But right now, FaZe look like they're doing it again, just trying to overwhelm the side. And it's worked this time. On a lesser buy, it comes through. Now, Robs and Oscar are in no position to play retake. They're a long way off. Bombs down, and it's secured.
Much harder for Mousesports now. Although Oscar does make the first frag on towards the bomb site, he doesn't actually have a lot of support from Robs. Robs isn't playing forward right now. So Mousesports are purely playing for exits here, or if anything, just to get a couple picks. Guns. Yeah, and also try and keep the money a bit low. I mean, this is a round that FaZe come in and sort of go for a bit more of a smattering of Tech 9s and UMPs. So this is not a terrible round to try and get those guns out of their hands here. Nico actually wants to try and do the same here, but he's walked straight into that. FaZe will only come out of this with 2 AK-47s.
Let's see how much money these guys will have now sitting beside each other. Mousesports, of course, extremely low. Double eco territory for some. On the other side, they can spread the wealth around. You can see a couple of drops coming in. They can really fashion together a nice buy now with all that utility off the back of this.
Jeez, Dennis, 1.5, yeah, that's rough.
He got dropped to UMP, and then I thought got armor, got some utility. They're going to buy up around it, because, you know, double eco anyway for some of these players, so you might as well. But we'll see. We'll see if this actually does hinder them down the line. I can imagine it will, but maybe they're going to go aggressive and try and do something with it, and they are going to play down short, play in Oscar. Look at this. Now, I'm liking this, but FaZe is sat back. That's the big issue to this one.
And no early molly from FaZe Clan as well might tell Mousesports a couple of things about their setup here. You know, a lot of teams like to bang one down in that position there. Tensky gets the better of Rops there. That
eventually.
Looked closer than it was. Rops didn't actually hit any of those shots. The fact is that Tensky took a while to kill his assailant. Regardless, the kill comes out. Mousesports going to just move back towards the B side there, knowing how that exchange occurred over on A means that they need to play someone a little bit more forward of that A-bomb site. It's going to be Chris J in toilets. But that's about as close as they get. Again, Chris J doesn't benefit from using a pistol on long or facing it towards Plaza. He needs to play the corner.
He's going back into this as well. It's good info as well. He's like an early warning system almost. You can kind of remind your players over by B that this is still a problem. They're down to 50 seconds here, FaZe. Starts to become more and more of an issue the less time they have. It's purely because the angles become more and more deadly.
Dennis and Chris J want at least a 2-for-1 if they can get it here. That's why they're committing 2 players so forward. That's nice. That's really nice. Bit of misdirection there. As you saw Dennis sort of back off and try and Kobe a flash in there. Chris J was there. Lowell's there with the pistol. 5-7 now. It's Nico trying to challenge up with the rest of FaZe. He does win out that battle, but the bomb is loose and Oscar can watch. Yeah,
that bomb position is nice, but Oscar has to be careful that no one's going to sneak around and try and take a fight while they've recovered it. Actually, Tensky already gets the bomb, so quick play in from Dennis. He knew that Oscar had that angle for him, and now Oscar's even found a frag even better. Dennis tries to walk through the molly, Nico's watching it, but Chris J, he's going to handle it well, but it's Alu in the 1v2. Bomb is planted, but is it planted for him? Peeks up towards the first, looks for it. Chris J steps out, spots him. Knows the information is there, but how are they going to play this one out? Is anyone on the bomb right now? It doesn't seem as though, no. Alu's found Chris J, and now Oscar, he's stuck in between a rock and a hard place. He does have a kit, he's got an AWP, but he simply won't have enough time to play this one out.
No, he can only tickle it. Alu plays this so well and even gets the kill in the end, but it's unlikely that Oscar would have had a heck of a lot of time to work with anyway. It would have gone right down to the wire regardless. You're torn in situations like that. As your Oscar, you generally only have one angle to watch. He's like, okay, he's in Monster. He probably doesn't have the time to flank me from short, so I can just hold this one angle and know that this is where he has to come from. But that's all well and good, Lauren. But you need to win that duel. You need to back yourself saying, the one angle I know he's going to peek from, I need to be ready for.
Yeah, and considering what that round was, which was, I guess, 2 guns, really, and some upgraded pistols, that was good damage from Mousesports, but they need the round on the board pretty soon. That's the simple thing for them.
And FaZe trying to recover with 2 MAC-10s here.
Yeah, and a nice pinch towards underpass. Carrigan going to claim Oscar. Robs, you've been spotted, buddy. You can't wait it out forever. Tensky does land that. And now you're down to 3. Lowell going to try and find the little corner of the side and hope that maybe he gets played into it by Chris J, baiting out. Carrigan does actually fall for it. Dennis going to find Rain too. This should be surely as much as they're going to get from this one. There's not much more to play with. They recovered, I guess, a MAC-10. Congratulations, Lowell.
Yeah, up against armored players doesn't really mean a heck of a lot in the grand scheme of things. However, FaZe are still adamant about hitting this A site. Mousesports still have a strong presence here, although they've sent Dennis Walkabout to be just to check, just to make sure that they're not, you know, overstacking a site. And he's going to come back now. He realizes, no, it's definitely going to be 8. This is also going to steal the Mousesports players and prepare them, but not much can prepare you for this. Lowell and Chris J get absolutely run over the top of, and Nico watching. Oh, the headshot. Oh, Dennis. Pistols. That's as good as he gets with the P250. It's going to take more than one shot. At that range, at least.
There's the follow-up line. Good old CSGO pistols.
I like to weave it in, Lauren, every now and then.
Yeah, so far, you know, Dennis isn't going to do much here. Might get one more. You know, Nico is pretty low. Tensky's 40, but they're backing away now. But Mousesports are doing damage. It's just not converting into rounds. You're seeing it here, even on this round, with again limited amounts. Nice little bit of, you know, chemistry synergy between the 2 players there. You saw Chris J kind of baiting in Lowell. It worked out nicely, nice enough. But they need that round on the board. They need to kind of get FaZe off this kind of confidence rebuild. So far, Mouse have only claimed, if I'm not mistaken, 1 round. this half. Now, their T-side looked good. It was quite dominant for a while, but it didn't seem as though they had that depth of a team that runs this map constantly. It still feels a little bit new to them, a little bit like, okay, we've got to work our way into it, you know, get past that teething phase almost. But the pause has come in. Like, I'm hoping it's a tactical one, just so we get Mouse maybe discussing what they need to do wrong here. How do we approach FaZe on this map? What's working for them? How do we work it out?
Well, the positives are that Mousesports did actually win a gun round in this half. That was the one that they managed to pick up there as well. They're just not getting much luck really with the pistols. A couple of rounds where it has been quite close. And that's why FaZe aren't soaring to astronomically high, you know, levels of currency, despite winning 6 out of the 7 rounds in this half so far. That is definitely a good sign for Mousesports. Need to convert properly though. The reason why we have a tactical pause here is because Mousesports have hit that threshold of buy. They're like, okay, we can actually buy into this round pretty comfortably. Most of them have about 4.5 to 5K. That's quite robust. It's now the decision is, do we take an AWP in this particular round? You know, do I drop one out for Oscar, let him have his armor, or does he try and, you know, go for some sort of glass cannon play? We don't really have all that much money. Does he try and challenge out? Alu's generally been the better of him so far. He's also shown a little bit more flair and a little bit more variation in how he sets up. We've seen that aggression on the CT side from FaZe Clan get some really good results, whereas for Mousesports, it's tended to flop a little bit more.
Yeah, they seem a little flatter here on the CT side. Now, the problem is, as you highlighted as well, their money's been pretty atrocious throughout this. They've been, as said, not having that many gun rounds to string together. When they do have it, it feels like there is a challenge, but hopefully they get that money building for them now. As you said, a bit of a buy coming in here. This time, much better, but they don't have much. They've only got 1 kit on Chris J, for example. They don't have everything they need, but it can be pulled together here. Let's look at what they're up to, though. Rop's Aggression, it looks like is the name of the game. Going to smoke out towards the stairs, get up towards Party. Chris J and Oscar are going to be probably quite attentive towards Long. But Alu, very, very aggressive, you know, leer in towards that B site. Misses a bit of an uncharacteristic shot there, and maybe Mouse are a little bit baffled as to where that came from.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if they've heard it at this stage. It is an interesting position, but Tensky could be in a bit of trouble here. Oscar guns him down, nowhere, it's all right. Nowhere to go. Now it's going to be Lowell up on that big site. Does trade here, but FaZe already swarm over that site so quickly. Mousesports at least trade 1 for 1 in the grand scheme of things across the map. It's a 3v3. They lack an AWP.
Oh, that smoke's dirty, Nico.
Needs a bit more FPL before Rops is ready for that one, I think. That's pretty nasty. Now, a boost for Nico.
I love this boost.
Oh, that's so cheeky.
Yeah, I like it. They want to get the guns away. They know how much Mousesports' economy and their money is suffering too, so he can actually chase that really, really quickly from an angle they probably wouldn't expect if he wants to. But looking at Christian and Oscar, they are well away already. Down long, having none of this FaZe malarkey, but FaZe has been so aggressive at hitting that B site too. Let's be very clear about that. And maybe these fast plays just work a little bit better for them. Sure, we saw that one round where it kind of went wrong when Dennis was able to dismantle it in 1. He got those 3 big kills. But beyond that, when everything seems to go well and they just get a quick hit, kind of just going in for trades, building off the back of each other, it's such a nice little bit of work from them, depending on the individuals, which is a good look for FaZe. Bearing in mind, sure, we're not going to see their tactical depth here. It's not going to see the most beautiful of games from them, just purely because they've got a standing. You know, Tensky is there. Keo's a bit of a utility man at time. You know, he fills that role. Yeah, exactly. So it's hard to try and get around that. But one way to do it is depend on your fraggers, get them in good spots and make them play, and so far it's working.
It's interesting though as well what the team of the role player maybe doesn't understand about what he does as well. You know, maybe we saw a couple of blunders for FaZe where they maybe would have had Keo doing the work, but they just didn't realize what they needed to tell Tensky. He's improved though. He was 0-6 now. He's looking a lot better in kill score, so he's definitely making an impact.
Yeah, and I think FaZe obviously coming out the back of the last pause, you know, into this sort of round as well. They're just going to be taking their time. They haven't really shown any big presence anywhere, but they do have players across the board. So they're looking to see if there's going to be that aggressive push-up, bearing in mind there were 2 players on long last round. Rops had pushed up towards Party. So again, this is just kind of responsive play almost from FaZe. Pretty default, pretty standard, just kind of holding the extremities of the map. And then they can start clearing. They can start working through the angles. They can pull away all that utility that Mousesports so tentatively have in their pocket. They don't have much left now. They're down to 1 molly, 1 smoke, and 1 flash. That's your lot for Mouse. So they're going to have to hold this one in as it is.
And this is situations where Mousesports tended to make some mistakes or errors in judgment or just sort of get crushed when they tried to execute. So this is what we see if FaZe can actually stand the test of time in the round. And so far it's good. They find Chris J. And now Rops realizes that his wingman is a little bit injured. He needs to back away as well. Oscar, though, responds. A quick double for him.
Yeah, certainly not a grouch in that. Tensky is going to finally shut him out, but by this point, Robs is a little surrounded here. He's got a player already walking up along. That's Karrigan. So he's trying to get amongst them, and he has. Finding Tensky is big. That's bombed down instantly, expecting Karrigan there. His thought was right, but the execution didn't work out. Karrigan lands the shot. But it's now an achievable 2v2.
Nico's not sure, though. He spent about 10 seconds checking behind him in mid, just in case there was someone else pushed up the flank. Now, Lol is on the way, but far slower than Nico anticipated. Regardless, he has time to plant. Now, with 8 seconds left in the round is when he starts to punch the numbers. And Dennis has not shown himself yet. FaZe don't know he's there, gets a bit of a free shot there, but Nico comes out relatively unscathed. He's still so concerned about mid, and so he should be. Lol has made his way for the flank. And Karrigan tries to go down and deal with Dennis, and now he's starting to stress out a little bit more if you're Nico. He sees the head of Dennis, but he knows that the other player is close by. Now he's in the 1v1.
Nice. That molly is big. And there is a smoke as well on Lol then, but timing is a factor. And Nico, as you said, though, he was so paranoid about the back throughout that, he safely positioned himself to find that shot towards Dennis as well in the end then, once Karrigan was found. But really well played out so far, and it feels like a very individual game from FaZe, but it's fine by them. They're a team that can depend on that even in their proper matches, you know, if you want to look at it that way.
Long,
yeah, exactly. It's nice seeing the FaZe now have depth to them, but you know, they can still fall back to this.
Yeah, it's a lot of Robban, actually. I remember speaking to him in Katowice, and he talked a lot about protocols, setting up protocols, you know, to be a bit more flexible than just taking aim duels, which is what FaZe did. But eventually at the top level, you don't beat Astralis by just taking aim duels, and FaZe learned that the hard way, but now they've started to show the fruit of their labor.
Oh, definitely. These guys have certainly come up with a lot of good plays and obviously good results off the back.
Just love it because Rain always used to give me that answer. I interviewed him about 4 times over the last year, and he'd always say, "Oh, well, you would just do our thing, man. We'll just go for aim duels." I'm like, piss off, mate. You're full of it. That's not what you actually do. But it's a way of simplifying the game, I guess. And Tensky now simplifying things a bit for FaZe. They've got the man advantage. Rops is down, trying to play on long, and this is looking very bad for Mousesports. Rain onto Oscar.
Yeah, that's a little nasty to watch. Lol, Christian, Dennis. It feels like the steam's kind of run out here for Mousesports. It was one good side, and it feels like they haven't been able to replicate it. But then again, we saw not too long ago, it seemed like the battle of the T sides, wasn't it? It was that overtime game that Matt and Henry were casting just last week. Every team was able to play T sides and none of the CT. Yeah, it was kind of mad, but it seems though maybe this is one of those days again. FaZe have finally turned up. It was a bit of a shambolic CT side for them, but seem far more robust, well fleshed out here on the T side, considering they've got a stand-in.
It's funny, we talk about FaZe having maybe not such a great start to the game. Yeah, their gun rounds weren't stellar, but it was also one of the biggest things you notice about FaZe Clan. You go, something's wrong, so they're not winning these pistol forces, these deagle buys, these Tech 9s, these UMPs. They're the rounds they win. I say it all the time because it's just such an interesting statistic when you look at them holistically against other teams. But Oscar, bit of aggression for him. He's only got the scout though, gets the shot, but it's not the head. That's what he needed, and he goes down. It's a blaze of glory, but unfortunately it's not enough to light a campfire for Mousesports to gain Warth from here. It's looking nasty.
It is. Robs, try as you might, but this might be a little bit too far for you now. FaZe lining up on long, looking towards getting that bomb towards the site, and Chris J is in their way. A bit of a scout god, but he's going to have to need more than that this time. He has Dennis with him. Swings down it, but Alu's fighting back, taking Chris J down with him and the rest of his team, it seems. In the 3v3, it's messy, and it's kind of trading back and forth right now. Tensky and Alu still alive, and Alu's putting on a show for us. Lol's on the site, but it's just Lol. And not much longer.
FaZe are in their element, Lauren. It was a messy round. It was a bloodbath, but that's exactly what FaZe want. That's exactly how they wind down after a long day. You like rituals? You like bath salts?
I do.
FaZe like the blood of their fallen enemies. First map done. Overpass going over towards FaZe Clan. Lauren, let's head over the desk and see what our takeaways are from game 1 of the evening.
Well, Mitch, that got dark really quick. Bathing in the blood of their opponents. That's FaZe, apparently.
Yeah,
that's
it's not bad at all.
Bubble bath, perhaps?
Yeah, potentially. You never know.
Bath salts, Epsom salts that they use in the float decks? Is that the same thing?
I'm not sure.
No, I don't think it is.
I don't have a lot of
experience
with
salt.
the...
Have you ever done a float?
No, I want to though. I've heard some good things. Maybe this weekend.
Maybe.
Got some time off. Anyway, back to the game.
Back to the game.
Yeah.
You know who was floating in that game?
Who's that?
Alu.
Alu, he was having a good game, wasn't he?
Yeah, impact frags all around the board, 4 on the T-side pistol, really to get the ball rolling in that second half, and then he had that 2v1 situation with the AWP over the B site. And then
even that last round. I mean, picking up a couple key frags to get him in.
Oh, against that, you know, really poor buy of UMP's, Famouses, and Scouts. But
Pretty strong by these days, to be honest.
One of the strongest.
One of the strongest.
Well, should we go back to the start of the game?
Let's do that. Chronological order is usually my favourite.
So, I said to go into sort of special, I thought Mousesports were going to run away with this one. FaZe, normally quite weak with the stand-ins, looking a little bit ropey. Tensky, not the best addition, I guess, to replace Kiyoshima. But going into this one, 7-1 down. I thought, okay, this is what we're expecting. Mousesports is to use teamwork, shut them down, and this was on the T side. We did say the CT side was going to be difficult on Overpass for FaZe. They certainly struggled. They got some rounds together towards the end. They actually started to get the double AWPs out. It looked a little better.
I think that was flipped. I think we talked about the CT sides being a little bit easier because the standing could just step
I didn't say that.
That's what I said.
That's what you said.
I said
so
that.
you said the opposite?
I'm sticking to what I say.
Well done.
Remember that?
Well
anyway,
done.
thank you for interrupting.
Yeah, you're welcome. Pick your point up where you left off.
Yeah, I'm trying to now. So yeah, the idea. So when they got on the T side, that's when you see they really came to their own. They're actually just using the kind of Wolfpack tactics, going in together, basic executions of smokes, and then hitting the shots. Pound for pound, FaZe is going to be a much better team in terms of firepower, going up against Mousesports, winning the duels. Alu had an amazing game. Nico, we said if he stepped up, he's been quiet in Pro League recently. He actually topped the scoreboard as well. He's looking very good. And there's not really much you can do once they start shutting you down and start winning all the clutches, resetting you. The one round that Mousesports did win, shut down straight away after that as well. So it's a real rough second half for them.
I mean, that happened in the first half to FaZe as well. I remember they won a round and were reset immediately. That's how Mousesports got out to that 7-1 lead, but it all switched. It all changed.
Yeah, they pulled it back from there. We were able to put a few rounds on the board. I don't know how you turned it around on that CT hard so late, because when you're the T side and you're in such control like Mousesports were, you can play around with a few ideas and you're not too worried. But then, what was it, the last 3 of the last 4 rounds in that first half, they lost. So I think they'll be disappointed with that T side. So have to see what. Ropes didn't look too. He did his job, but he wasn't living up to the hype I gave.
No, you were calling him the best player in esports right now. At one point.
I was saying
that didn't really happen, did it?
Yeah.
It was okay. Like we watched him the majority of the time, and I see what you're saying about having the awareness and good like crosshair placement and that sort of stuff. Definitely potential, but wasn't his game.
I mean, to be fair, that one round where he sold the fake, playing very patiently in the B bomb site, and you commented he even made Nico, feel like he was on the back foot.
It looked like he made Nico sweat, where he lobbed that smoke down and jumped up on the barrels, just kept delaying for ages, and the rest of his team were able to take A. Like, he didn't actually get a frag there, but what he did was pull another player over to that side to help Nico out, who was stressed, and they were able to take advantage of that rotation, which is, always a positive sign to see someone playing with their head.
Yeah. Well, promising signs, as we've always mentioned with Rops so far in his early time in the Pro League. Either way, FaZe do take it. They recover from a tough first half, and they beat Mousesports on map 1. When we return, we're going to see the second map between these two teams.